Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2025 USA Softball of Michigan's Hall of Fame ceremony. My name is Darren Deichtemars. I am the Commissioner and Executive Director for USA Softball of Michigan and the Midwest Region Vice President to the USA Softball Board of Directors. It is my honor to be your co-MC today. We'll introduce my counterpart here in just a few moments. I love talking to my own family about this event. And when I tell them kind of what it's supposed to be like and what happens, the word family comes up quite a bit. Because there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of tales. Some are true, some are kind of true, and some aren't true at all, and some are more true than what they should be. And when I tell my daughters, in particular my youngest daughter, some of these stories, they're like, boy, that really does sound like family. And I said, yeah, this is our softball family. And we get the opportunity to celebrate literally the best of what Michigan has to offer. There's a few thank yous I would like to take advantage of right now before we get started. First of all, as you can see, we're in a new venue. We're here at the Holiday Inn. I've been here a couple times in years past, got here earlier this afternoon, and I just wanted to say thank you to the staff that's here and to the hotel in general. They worked with us really, really well. We're excited to be here for the next couple of years. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the Holiday Inn. We also, once again, have MCTV here again. Mr. John Metcalf is here recording this for us. A gentleman by the name of Barry Pavlik has normally done this event, but apparently he's going to become a grandpa, I believe, so he decided that was a little bit more important to be there for that than it was to be here. But John and MCTV, we appreciate you guys being here each and every year. Ladies and gentlemen, MCTV. We have an executive committee for USA Softball of Michigan, and these are individuals that I rely on quite a bit. They include the following: our President, Troy Stowell, our Vice President, Jim Connors, our Umpire-in-Chief, Ross Martin, Mark Sirk, Jesse Stewart, and Dan Smith. If those individuals could please stand, I would really appreciate it, because they really do a lot of good work for us. And I know that we are going to honor this individual later today as well, but I would be remiss if I did not take just a moment once again, as usual, to say thank you to Debbie Sherwood, who is our now retired Assistant Director for USA Softball of Michigan. And you're going to hear a lot about this later in my introduction of her. But I think it's fair to say the words heart and soul of this association really come to mind. Amen. And she put a lot of this together over all these years. This is really her baby. And we hope to make this as personable as possible for her today and for everybody. But again, I think she deserves special recognition for really making this event happen. So ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for her. So you certainly can't have a Hall of Fame without current members in the Hall of Fame, and we have several folks here today, both in the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame and even the National Hall of Fame. I would ask for those current Hall of Fame members, state and national, would you please rise to be recognized at this time? So in just a few moments, we're going to have dinner, and we're going to ask the hotel staff to dismiss each table as they see fit. You probably don't want me doing that because my table will go first then, so we'll just we'll let them handle it. But we are going to enter into a time of prayer and a moment of silence. We'd like to take just a moment for special recognition for those Hall of Fame members who have passed. Kenneth D. Richardson, David Ritzma, and Ken Ritz. These are the folks that we are aware of at this time. I can honestly tell you I did not know Mr. Richardson, but I certainly knew Dave Ritzma, member of our umpire staff for many, many years, and had the opportunity to work several times with Ken Ritz, who is Mr. Fast Pitch in the Moline area. So if you would indulge me, we're going to have a moment of silence, and then I'm going to sing a prayer that is something that Ms. Sherwood had asked, or actually I had asked her for a specific song that she might like, and that will be our prayer for this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, a moment of silence for Kenneth D. Richardson, David Ritzma, and Ken Ritz, please. If you pass through raging waters in the sea, you shall not drown. If you walk amid the burning flames, you shall not be harmed. If you stand before the power of hell and death is at your side, know that I am with you through it all. Be not afraid, I go before you always. Come, follow me, and I will give you rest. Amen. Amen. Enjoy your dinner. Troy Stowell is our USA Softball Michigan president. Troy has been a colleague of mine for many years. We've been doing this co-MC thing now for the last several years, and Troy is a wonderful colleague. He's a very, very good friend and someone that I can call to rely on for any number of things, both personal and professional. And we're very fortunate to have him as our president, and I'm very fortunate to have him as a colleague and friend. Ladies and gentlemen, our president, Mr. Troy Stowell.
All right, thank you, Darren. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is about celebration. It is about honoring the legends who built the game, who made memories on the fields across the state, and who left their mark on generations of players, coaches, officials, and fans. Since our very first Hall of Fame class back in 1982, the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame has grown into something truly special, a living legacy of excellence in our sport. From those first honorees to the present day, 394 names now grace our Hall of Fame, each one a story of dedication, passion, and love for the game. But as we look back with pride, we have to look forward with purpose. The Hall of Fame is not just a place of honor the past, it's a place to inspire the future. And that's why tonight we're asking for your support through our USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame Pledge Program. For those interested, there's information in the back of your programs tonight. Donations help us preserve and expand this incredible tradition. We're proud of what we built, but we know there's more we can do, and there's more that we must do. One of our next goals is to bring the Hall of Fame into the digital age, to create an online platform where every inductee's story, stats, and legacy can be accessed by fans, families, and future generations. Imagine players in small-town diamonds, not only in the state of Michigan, but across the country, looking up to the legends who played decades before, seeing their photos, reading their stories, and realizing that they too can be part of something bigger. That's the power of this hall, and that's the opportunity in front of us. Whether it's $25, $100, every gift matters. Your donation ensures that we just don't remember our history. We share it, we preserve it, and we build it. So tonight, as we celebrate those who gave so much to the game, we invite you to give back, not just for them, but for the next generation of Hall of Famers waiting in the wings. I'd like to take a minute to recognize those who have donated for our 2025 Hall of Fame Pledge Program. When I call your name, if you could please rise and hold your applause to the end. Mike Lalonde, Bruce Streelman, Beverly Neville, Mike Kozik, Richard Hogan, Al Deemer, Julie Biddick, Del Benson, James Poindexter, Mark Myers, Laura Curry, Bill Streeman, Chris Armijo. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our Hall of Fame Pledge programs for 2025. Now you notice there's 3 more names in your program. These individuals have given the highest donation of $1,000. We call this our Grand Slam donation. When I call your name, please come up to the front, and we've got a monogram bat for you. Dan Wallace, Tom Fitzsimmons, and Gary Evans. Come on up. There you are, sir. Make sure I got the right ones here.
Ain't no way Cowboys make it up.
There's steps over
You
here.
can stay down.
There's steps over here. Sir.
Thank you.
Here you guys go. I'm gonna go.
Let's get a picture. I've seen him before.
Congratulations.
Oh, it's a picture over there.
Do we even know how to hold these?
No.
We also had 2 corporate sponsors tonight that I'd like to recognize. First and foremost, R&R Fireworks as our corporate sponsor, and our Perfect Game sponsor. This goes to the Bay Area Substance Education Services and Scott Kelly. One more round of applause for R&R Fireworks and Bases. Now that we got the formalities out of the way, let's get started with our inductions. Our first inductee for tonight in the 2025 USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame is Gary Franson. Tonight we have the opportunity to celebrate a man whose name has long stood for power, versatility, and pure competitive spirit. And in the world of men's fast-pitch softball, it is my great honor to welcome Gary Rookie Franson into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame. Gary's story, go ahead, applause. Gary's story in softball began in 1977 with the Reading Merchants, and from his first game, people saw something different. That's how he got the nickname Rookie, and the name just stuck. Even as the years went on and he became a seasoned veteran, he was one of the most feared and respected players in the game. For over a decade, Gary was a staple of teams such as the Midland Explorers, helping them to numerous local and state USA softball championships, and competing in multiple national championship tournaments. No matter how tough the competition or how high the stakes, Gary brought it every single time. On the field, he was a true utility player, able to take the infield position and make it look easy. But his calling card was his arm. Simply put, Gary had a cannon. I'm going to find out when I shake his hand here in a minute.
Should ask Peter.
Whether he was turning to or throwing out a runner deep from the hole, Gary's arm was a weapon, and it changed games. At the plate, he was known across the country as a pitcher's nightmare. He could hit for power to all fields, adjust to any pitch, and come through in the clutch. He was the kind of hitter who made pitchers nervous just by stepping in the box. In fact, legends of the game, guys like Lou Kelly, Brian Boyd, and Jeff Sherman have called Gary Franson the best hitter they have ever seen. And if you were lucky enough to see him play, you would understand why. In 1996, Gary's elite talent was recognized when he was named the USA Softball First Team All-American. And even now, decades after that rookie name first appeared, Gary is still playing at a high level in the Men's Masters Fast Pitch program, showing younger players how the game is supposed to be played, not just for the love of the game, but for legacy. Gary, your career has been built on talent, heart, and a relentless drive to compete. You have earned every hit, every win, and every accolade. And tonight, you have earned a place among the greatest ever to play this game. On behalf of the USA Softball of Michigan, it is our tremendous honor to officially induct you into our Hall of Fame. Gary Franson.
I want to thank everybody for letting me join this family here. And I want to like to thank Brian and Jim Boyd and Jeff Sherman, Kyle Bean, Lou Kelly, and those guys for working to help me get into it. When I first got asked to play fast pitch softball, I had no idea what fast pitch softball was. I never heard of it before. And went to the first practice. I got there 15 minutes early because I was ready to go. And at 10 after, nobody had showed up. Back then we didn't have cell phones, so I said, well, I got the wrong day. I got a call later. And why didn't you come to practice? I said, I was there. He said, well, you got to wait 15, 20 minutes. And then the second practice, I did show up, and that's how I got my nickname, Rookie. I forgot my spikes, so I was trying to play infield in tennis shoes, sliding all over, and they said, just like a rookie, don't bring your spikes to practice. So, and it just stuck, and I have people call me that today, still. So, and played a lot, but things really changed in 1985 when Lefty Bartos called me to ask to go play with Explorers. And what happened? I got all the way up here to Midland to practice, and my car broke down. So it's like every time I tried to turn around and do something, it was still nope. But I enjoyed it so much. I played with so many great players and made so many friends and everything. And I appreciate everything. And I forgot, I'd like to thank Debbie Sherwood for walking me through everything to make sure I got everything right. Forgot about it. But most of all, I'd like to thank everybody that I played with, because first they were teammates, then they became my friends, and then they became my brothers, and then they became my family. So thank you for letting me join this family, and thank you for everything.
Our next inductee is Al Laskowski. As Troy and I have said over and over during these events, getting to read these letters of recommendation is truly a highlight of this process. Some of you might know that I am actually married to an English teacher, and it has been drilled into me what to look for when it comes to grammar, how to read certain things correctly, and noticing things like key words that come up on a page that highlight the person or the character within a given story or biography. Such is the case when it comes to the information regarding Al Laskowski, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about his on-field abilities. There is no doubt that the talent and ability that he possessed was Hall of Fame caliber. Words and phrases such as top-notch shortstop with an extremely strong arm and excellent range, a player who started in the lower leagues but worked his way to the top at the local, state, and even national levels. Instrumental in helping all the teams that he participated with be successful. These are significant words. The accolades of his career speak volumes as well. 22 years of softball memories, catching short fly balls with his back to the infield, a batting average around .350 pretty much every year. Speed, defense, 9 state championships, 5 finals, regional tournament appearances, national tournament appearances, All-American honors, and a list of teammates who are also some of the best of the game. There is no doubt that his name officially needs to be included as Hall of Fame caliber. But here's where it gets interesting to me. In all of these recommendations, the positive attributes that were demonstrated on a regular basis were certainly legendary. But these attributes that were highlighted by his peers, many of them acknowledged that the fact of just watching him play was something special. Think about that. The key word, watch. Fans of the game of softball simply enjoyed watching Al Laskowski play the game. We talk about how members of the Hall of Fame were exemplary on and off the field. This is one nominee whose main highlight was that people simply enjoyed watching him play the game the way it's supposed to be played. He has the accolades, the talent. He's an advocate and example for this great game. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the USA Softball of Michigan's Hall of Fame, Mr. Al Laskowski.
When I first started playing, if you can believe it, I was 6'3" and I weighed 165 pounds. That's why I was so mobile at the shortstop position. I had long arms, long legs. I was a good fielder and I had a good arm. But what I want to do is thank the people on the board that voted for me to become a member of this great group. I joined a lot of people from Bay City and Saginaw, which, you know, I'm from Bay City, so I recognize those people and those names more. We played a lot of softball, played for many different sponsors, but the nucleus of our team basically stayed the same year after year. We had a few lapses in time when some of us had to work on second shift in the factory and we couldn't play ball at all, but then we all got back together. And let's see, when I was 22, a bunch of the guys that I grew up with, we decided to get our own team together. And we had the whole nucleus of the infield, the outfield, the catcher, but we didn't have the most important position, the pitcher. And that was very difficult. We latched onto a young guy, and we were in the bottom leagues, and even with him pitching, we scored so many runs that we ended up winning the league championship. And that happened, you know, for 2 years, and then a lot of the older ball players realized what a good team we really were. And some of the better pitchers in Bay City were knocking on our door wanting to pitch for us. And we played in leagues such as the Tri-Valley League, where we played against Midland MI, the Boulders, Flynn AUL, the Explorers from Midland. We played with Maidwright. And I'll tell you what, if you want to watch a batting average go down real quick, take on some of those teams. I had a great career. We played in Oklahoma City. We played in the Hall of Fame Stadium, where we fared very well. We finished second in the country. And then the following year, we had to go up to Class B, and we went to Las Cruces, New Mexico. So these are all things that I'm proud of. I'm proud of the guys that are sitting right here at the table, who I played many years with. And I don't see too many familiar faces out here that we played against, but you got to remember I'm going to be 73 years old on Tuesday. So if anybody wants my address to send me a birthday card, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go, sir.
All right. Happy early birthday, Al. You know, one of the things that I like to hear about and read about when we go through all of the nomination applications, and I think Al highlighted it perfectly. I don't think there's a single person in our Hall of Fame or any current ball players here, or even umpires here, who started at the top, right? Nobody started at the top. Everybody in this room started somewhere, worked their tail off to get to that elite level. And I think, Al, you did a good job highlighting that for us tonight, so thank you for that. Our next inductee is Christy Stark. Christy was not just a great softball player. She was a pioneer. She was a leader and an inspiration to everyone lucky enough to watch her play, and those lucky enough to play with her and against her. For Christy, softball has never just been a game. It's been a lifestyle, a passion, and a platform for excellence. From the very beginning, Christy brought a level of intensity and love for the sport that lifted everyone around her, her teammates, her coaches, and yes, even her opponents. Her achievements speak volumes. 15 state tournament appearances with championship wins in 1982 and 1992 with both the Scottsville Scotties and Metalworks. State championship runner-up finishes in 1983, 1994, and 1996. And 4 times, Christy led her teams to national championship appearances, including a 3rd place finish in 1992 and a national runner-up in 1994. Christy was also named a 2-time USA Softball All-American. But stats alone can't capture what Christy means to this game. She played with a competitive fire that never dimmed and a leadership style that inspired. She was a player diving into the dirt, sprinting out every ground ball, and standing tall when the pressure was at its peak. And just as importantly, she was a teammate lifting up others, showing the younger players how to carry themselves with pride, respect, and purpose. Last year, USA Softball of Michigan had the privilege of inducting Candy Swetkis of Escanaba into this very Hall of Fame. Candy was a woman whose legacy reminds us how deeply players like Candy, and now Christy, have shaped not just the game of softball, but their communities, their teammates, and generations that followed. They have showed us all what it means to lead with heart, to compete with class, and to leave the game and the people in it better than they found it. Christy Stark stands among that elite company, not just because of what she accomplished, but because of how she played, how she led, and how she inspired. Christy, tonight, we honor you not only as a champion and a 2-time All-American, but as a trailblazer who helped set the standard for women's softball in Michigan and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of USA Softball of Michigan, it is my great honor to introduce our next inductee into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame, Christy Stark.
My family tells me I talk too much, but I'm gonna make them liars tonight. I would like to thank USA Softball of Michigan. This is an amazing night. The food was excellent. I had a good drive over this afternoon on a sunny day. The Tigers won tonight, so maybe we can do, the night is so far so good. I would like to I have a special friends that I'd like to, it's not only a special night for me, it's a special night for my family, my friends, my teammates, and coaches, everybody that's a part of me. This is a team sport, and I wouldn't be up here without them. I'm blessed with my family. Thankful that my mom and dad are here tonight, my siblings, and my niece, and our good friend Sharon McCumber. I've played ball with Sharon since the 4th grade, on and off, several years. And Sharon was very instrumental and the national titles that I was on her team with, and she's in this Hall of Fame. So thank you, Sharon. I've been to several nationals, tournaments. I've been to several states. If it wasn't for softball, I don't know where I'd be. It's been a big part of my life. Who knows where I would be now, but I have, like a lot of these people that have already talked tonight, they said it's a family, they become your friends. It's just, I mean, if it wasn't for softball, I probably wouldn't have any friends, who knows, but. I just got a real short story because without a speech, you can't have a story. I know the two prior had stories, so I'm gonna shut my story out. And I don't know if this is a true story because my dad told me. So well, I'm basing it on him because I was very young. I have one brother and he's got a bunch of sisters. And he was the only boy in the family, and I'm thinking this was the late 60s, maybe early 70s. He went outside and he wanted to play ball with my brother. I'm 2 years older than my brother. And I grabbed a glove. He's laughing. I grabbed a glove and I wanted to play ball. And my dad hits the ball to my brother and it just goes choo, 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 choo. My brother picked it up, threw it back. My dad really didn't want me out there. I'm a female. Girls don't play sports. So he hit the ball really hard to me. And I fielded it and I threw it back to him. So he hit the ball to my brother again, really light, he threw it back. So then it was my turn again and he really hit the ball hard this time to me and I caught it. So I guess it's the reason why I'm still here, because he left me out there and started playing. I kept playing. Also, this is kind of home to me, Midland. I played my college softball at Northwood Institute. It's Northwood University now. I was on the very first team. Me and my sister went to school over there together, and we played softball. And I think the first year we had to be a club sport. And then after that, we had a team, and we had Grand Valley, Saginaw Valley, you know, the GLIAC teams, and we were beating them with our club team. And I did make all-conference GLIAC, which was a surprise. But yeah, this is my home team, so I'm gonna go back tomorrow. I'm spending the night. I'm gonna go back over to Northwood, and I'm gonna take a tour on campus. So I haven't been here in about 30 years, so I'm happy to be back in Midland. And in closing, I would really like to thank the inductees that were inducted tonight. Great family, great class, and I've been really truly blessed with softball, and have a good evening.
You know, it's always interesting when an inductee comes up here and says, hey, I got to tell a quick story. Because you just never know where that's going to go. Christy, that was very good. Thank you very much. But we've had some in years past where, you know, someone like me who does this kind of stuff every once in a while, grandson of a preacher, even I get speechless after hearing some things. Hey, Mr. Wallace, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. I still can't look at a peacock. Ask him, he'll tell you. Well done, Christy. Thank you very much. This next inductee, the speech I'm about to give is for Tim Perkins. I've only done this one other time. You know, Troy and I, when we sit down and go through all this stuff, we try to write something as best we can to, you know, take advantage of the information that's given and highlight these people for the deserved accolades that they are about to receive. For Tim Perkins, I sat down and tried to write something, and I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it because somebody had sent in a letter of recommendation that was written beautifully, and there is no reason to try and change that. So for only the second time since I've done this, I'm literally reading a letter of recommendation. At barely the age of 18 back in 1979, he was a skinny kid with bony legs and a soiled uniform from the constant hustle of diving for balls in the outfield and reckless but calculated base running. He wore the number 6, for it was the number of Detroit Tiger right fielder and Hall of Famer Al Kaline, his boyhood hero. Always there to encourage his teammates, he was recognized by those who knew him as the team leader, even at the early stages of his softball career. As the years passed, the young man annually gained the confidence and maturity that matched his ability to be the difference in many a contest. In clutch situations, opposing teams walked him or issued the unintentional free pass in order to avoid the long ball, which ultimately would lead to defeat. On defense, he was the left fielder, and against the best power hitting teams in the state and the nation, this was arguably the most crucial position. On base hits in front, to his left, or to his right, no matter where, he always rapidly came up with and delivered the ball where needed. He understood the game and always hit the cutoff man, except when occasionally he'd throw at a base runner who dared challenge his arm. Regarding his own base running, he again knew the game, seldom made mistakes, and scored countless numbers of runs. His on-base percentage was unbelievably high, and there were good hitters behind him in the order. When it came to leadership, this young man was admired and approachable. His sense of humor tended to loosen up those around him during intense situations. Smack dab in the middle of many game-winning rallies, he was a consistent cornerstone on a team that averaged 10 to 12 first-place finishes per season. Simply said, he was a gentleman who instilled confidence in others and consistently among the first to congratulate players for their successes or encourage those who were temporarily down. Finally, the work ethic exhibited by this man was above and beyond what one may expect from an exemplary athlete. During the winters, he and his brother were always quick to set up a net, canvas, in an available potato storage bin, for it was there that the three of us would take batting practice several times a week. This is where timing, strength, and conditioning became a vital part of his commitment to excellence. Conditioning was indeed his creed as he drove 30 miles a day for workouts during the off-season, often with his wife and cousin, who also became better athletes due to his leadership by example. Consequently, I cannot begin to convey words to express that this gentleman left fielder deserves to be inducted into the Softball Hall of Fame. The paragraphs preceding fail to do him proper justice. When you induct Tim Perkins into the Hall of Fame, you will never have done better. That was written by Jim Perkins, cousin and teammate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame, Tim Perkins.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking God for this opportunity. I'm deeply honored to be here tonight. I want to thank USA Softball and the Hall of Fame Committee for this incredible recognition. I also want to sincerely thank the time to write recommendation letters on my. Here's what I can say. Like most things in my life, my love of this game started with family. I want to thank my dad, my brother, and my cousin Jim. Growing up, we'd play for hours out in my parents' apple orchard. I was always a little guy trying to keep up. I learned early on to love the game, play hard, and enjoy every minute of it. I also want to take a moment to thank some very important people who are here with me tonight. My wife, Sheila, my kids, Tyler and Teresa, Travis, Carissa, and Tristan Matthew. Thank you all for being here. It means the world to share this moment with you. Sheila, you've been my biggest supporter from the beginning. Without your love and help, I never would have made it this far. From loading and unloading a car, to getting kids ready, to being part of our softball family. You've always been there. You made a lot of great memories, and teammates and their families, and I'll always treasure that time. One of my favorite parts of those years was getting the kids out on the field after the games, letting them run the bases, swing the bat, and just be part of the fun. I was lucky enough to play ball with my two sons for a few years. I loved every minute of it. To all the teammates I've had over the years, thank you. I wish I could name every single one of you, who had a positive influence on me, but we'd be here all night. Just know this recognition is shared with all of you. Another highlight of my softball journey was putting together the Townview Farm team with Dan and Jim. We coached and played together for at least 8 years. Let me tell you, coaching was a lot harder than it looked. Softball has given me more than I ever imagined: friendships, life lessons, and priceless memories with people I love. I'm incredibly grateful to be part of this Hall of Fame, and even more grateful for the people who helped me get here. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
You know, we don't talk about coaches, enough here. And I think a lot of us here in the room who have coached, especially you're coaching your friends. I mean, it's a pretty hard thing to do. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for pointing that out, that it's a lot of times egos get involved, friendships and, who's bringing the next case of Miller Lite, those kind of things kind of play into it. So thank you for pointing that out again. We've had the opportunity tonight, and I think Darren kicked it off even before we had our meal, talking about family, how USA Softball is a family, how the sport is softball, whether you're a player, a coach, a sponsor, an umpire, is all about family. Which is why it's with great pride and admiration that I get to introduce our next USA Softball of Michigan inductee, Jimmy Stankowski. Woo-hoo! This is my 14th or 15th year, I think, up here doing our inductions. And it's safe to say that Jimmy's resume might actually be the longest resume that I have seen in all of those years. We're talking a full 3 pages of accomplishments. And we're not talking like 14 point or anything like that. This is tiny print that we had to read through. 3 pages of accomplishments, honors, and milestones. And if that wasn't enough, there's probably more newspaper clippings than I have seen in the past 14 or 15 years. But after looking at all that he's done, I wasn't surprised. Nobody in the room was surprised. Jimmy's career has truly been Hall of Fame caliber from start to finish. Jimmy was born into the game as part of Michigan's first family of softball. He grew up watching the sport from the dugout, learning it from one of the best, his dad. Like so many legends, Jimmy started at the ball field, absorbing every moment, every inning, and every lesson. And when it was his time to step between the lines, he didn't just follow in his father's footsteps. He forged a path of his own. He was a 2-time USA Softball All-American in 1988 and again in 2005. Earning 4 All-State selections. He won 6 USA Softball of Michigan State Championships spanning from 1982 to 2020, all at the highest levels of the game. Jimmy was a feared pitcher, a dependable fielder, and a guy who always answered the call when the team needed him. Early on in his career, he was known as a hard thrower with a fastball that turned heads and hurt hands. But over time, he added pinpoint control and developed one of the most devastating changeups in the game. He became then a complete pitcher, one who could dominate a lineup and adjust to any situation. And what made Jimmy so special was not just his ability, it was his attitude. He never played for headlines, even though he earned plenty. He never asked for recognition, even though he deserved it. Jimmy played whenever and wherever his team needed him. And it was never about personal accolades. It was always about the team. That's what his teammates respected most. That's what they relied on. That's why his name was written down in so many of those box scores and in so many of those newspaper articles, because he showed up day in, day out, and he gave the game everything that he had. Jimmy, Your career reflects the very best of what this sport is all about: family, toughness, humility, and heart. You built a legacy that doesn't just live on in stats, it lives on in stories, friendships, and the impacts that you made on the people around you. And now that legacy takes its permanent place in our history of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of USA Softball of Michigan, it is my great honor to officially induct Jimmy Stankowski into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame.
Was that actually for me, or was that somebody else?
I made it up.
Yeah.
I made it up.
Wow, that's sounds pretty impressive when you actually hear it. Like that. We'll sit in there. There we go. There we go. Well, I got to use my little cheater phone because I got a lot of thank yous on here that I just want to start with. First and foremost, I just want to thank the Hall of Fame committee and all the board members, the nomination committee for like the Mason County area. That was Todd Hansen, Scoop is his nickname, and Sharon McCumber. If it wasn't for their dedication and hard work to make this possible, I would never be standing up here. Secondly, I want to thank my family and friends for all the support for me and receiving this great award, especially all my friends and family that are here right now. Try not to get emotional up here, but it's going to be kind of tough. I definitely want to thank my wife for 35 years, Lisa, for supporting me and sacrificing over all the years, and I wouldn't be standing up here if it wasn't for her. My mom and dad, Jim and June, my brother Joey, they all supported me, and their dedication to the game was unbelievable. And it was the hours and hours and hours of practice. The 2-on-2 games with my brother and Kenny Tyndall and his brother Rick. We played days and days and days and days of 2-on-2 softball. We started out right-handed. We outgrew the field. We played left-handed till we outgrew that, and then we actually got on a team and started playing. My dad is also known in the softball community as Potsy to all the family and friends, who was inducted in 2005. To be on a part of that with a father and a son in the Hall of Fame, that's pretty crazy, and I'm super proud of that. Another thing that I'm really proud of is 3 generations of Michigan State champions in our family. Of course, with my dad and brother, and the most recent was with my son Blake, which is about 3 years ago. We put a team together and we went and won a state championship the very first year we put it together. So I was pretty proud to have 3 generations of fast-pitch softball champions in the state of Michigan. Many of you that probably know me, my career started out pretty wild. I mean, I was pretty wild, to say the least. And we were, let me find my spot here. And we started out, we chased every game that we could possibly get. And we were 17, 18-year-old kids, and we wanted to play wherever we could play. And I'll never forget, Potsy comes up to us after a practice. We were 17, 18 years old, and he says, "I got a scrimmage game." And we're like, "Okay, where are we going?" Potsy says, "Camp Sable Prison." We're like, "What?" "Yeah, we're going to play the prisoners at Camp Sable." And it was just like a scene out of a movie. It was, seriously, it was, the guards are all around us checking our gear as we're going in, and we're a 17, 18-year-old bunch of kids going out there, and we're playing prisoners. And we all start lining up, and they're checking our gear, and guards are sitting all over the place checking us. And the field was absolutely horrible. But that wasn't the bad part. The bad part was looking at all of our teammates' faces, knowing that me and my brother were going to be pitching against those guys, and we were probably going to be plunking a few of them. And we didn't let them down. We probably hit 2 or 3 apiece. And Potsy came in and he bailed us out. I don't think he bailed us out of the inning. He actually bailed us out from stopping a prison riot. I really believe that. That's a fact. Another guy I really want to thank for all the years of, he was always there for us, was Duke Tyndall, our catcher. Man, that guy took a beating, man. I'll tell you what, in the early years, he took a beating. I mean, but he stuck with us and he never lost faith in me and my brother on the mound. And I'll never forget, Potsy calls a timeout. And Duke comes walking up from behind the plate, and he actually looked like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. He had so much gear on. He took a beating, I'm telling you. Potsy calls, he comes out to the circle, and Duke being like he is, Potsy says, "How's he look, Duke?" Duke, being like he is, says, "Potsy, he's just missing. He's in the zone, but he's just missing." Potsy says, "Duke, he just threw 3 off the backstop and hit 2. Yeah, but thanks, Duke, for all them years. But I can't thank everybody enough. I got a lot of speech here that I could continue on doing, but I just want to thank everybody, for all the hard work of the ASA committee. If it wasn't for the ASA fast pitch, currently, fast pitch, we all know, would probably be dead. And without this Michigan ASA, I thank them greatly, because if it wasn't for them, none of us would be up here today. I just want to give them a round of applause, because fast pitch is dying, and we all know it. And they're keeping it going for us. So I definitely want to thank all of them people that are still involved in the ASA of Michigan. And first, I just want to congratulate all of the newest members of the Hall of Fame, and all the past members that are here. Tom Belahowski, I'm sorry I hit you 3 or 4 times. I really am. I hit a lot of you, so I apologize if I ever hit you. I didn't mean it. I really didn't. Tommy came up to me here about a month ago and he said, "Jimmy, how many times have you faced me?" I'm like, "I don't know, Tommy." Tommy was a teammate of ours, and Tommy played with our Floorcraft team for 4 years, and it was a huge asset to our team. And I said, "I don't know, Tommy, how many?" And he goes, 20, 25? I'm like, "Yeah, probably." He goes, "You know how many times you hit me?" "No idea." 15. I'm like, "Well, sorry, I didn't mean to." But, and I've always said, great teams make great players. A lot of people disagree. They think great players will make great teams. Great teams make great players. And I can say, on our Floorcraft team, in the early stages, we have 7 Hall of Fame members off of that team. Now that's pretty impressive. 7 players who played on that team have made the Michigan Hall of Fame. And I couldn't be more proud to be up here. I have a bunch of players that are sitting out here right now that they should be standing up here with me right now. And I'd like to name them all off: Jim Allen, Duke Tyndall, Kenny Tyndall, my brother Joey. Without them, I wouldn't be here. No way. So I just want to thank everybody and have a good night. Thank you.
I just asked him if that last state championship was actually in Holland, where I hosted. He said, "Yeah, that was us." I'm like, "Yeah, I did the schedule. You're welcome." Anyway, no. I tell you, and I actually remember that particular tournament. A great group of teams, a great team that won the state championship, and just a lot of fun. You know, you talk about especially the fast pitch game. I was not a fast pitch player, but I've actually run more fast pitch tournaments the last few years than I have anything else, and it is just it's an historically passionate and wonderful game. And it is just great to see the recognition come to those who truly deserve it. So thank you very much. Active. This is a word that was commonly used by individuals who spoke or wrote on behalf of Mike Aumack. Active as an umpire in fast pitch, slow pitch, and even some modified pitch. active as a district umpire-in-chief who constantly worked to promote the USA Softball brand, actively helping wherever help was needed and almost never saying no. Actively involved in training to be an even better umpire than he already was, whether it's at the local, state, or even national levels when opportunities presented themselves. I think it's safe to say that Mike Almack is actively involved when it comes to USA Softball. Mike's resume is certainly an impressive one. He has umpired in well over 60 plus state, regional, and national tournaments, and countless games at local and state qualifier tournament levels. There is no doubt his on-the-field excellence continues to establish Michigan as one of the most prominent programs in the country when it comes to umpires. But it's more than that. Yes, he is a talented umpire and works very hard at his craft. But simply put, he shows up. When you need him, he's there. Somebody goes down, he's there. A schedule change occurs. Mike, can you do one more game? And he does it. That's what great teammates do. That is an example of what it means to be a USA Softball and Michigan umpire. Mike Almack walks the talk. One of his colleagues summed it up best. Outstanding achievement or service that is worthy of recognition typically involves significant contributions that go beyond normal duties and responsibilities. I think that sums up Mike Almack perfectly. He loves to umpire. He enjoys the camaraderie of fellow umpires and players alike. He has umpired for a long time, but he's still willing to learn anything else that can help make him better. Amongst many things, in my opinion, that attitude makes him that much more special. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the USA Softball of Michigan's Hall of Fame, Mr. Mike Almack.
I can tell you that both of my daughters are here, and they can tell you I've said no a lot of times. I have to tell you also that I can't imagine anybody that has felt less deserving of this honor or more appreciative. When Debbie sent out the letter saying that we only had 5 minutes to give thank yous, I had to cut my list in half, so. I came to Michigan in 1982 from northern Indiana, and I thought I was a pretty good umpire. And a gentleman named Ron Welch looked at me and said, "Come here, boy." And he, since then, has been my longtime friend and mentor, and he shares a large responsibility for me being here. I've been through a lot of UICs. The first was Jack Sauter, who scared the bejesus out of me when I first met him. Then Jerry Hansen, Jim Wolford, Gary Evans, Brian Smith, who, in my opinion, is the best amateur softball umpire in the country. And now Ross Martin. The best thing for me is the friendships that I've developed through this. And everybody has talked about family. A lot of the umpires will talk about brothers, but we have some sisters too. We have some very good female umpires in this organization. One of them, Linda Hoover, is here. We also tend to give each other a hard time. And one of the umpires in this room, who's a Hall of Famer, sent me a email congratulating me on being ejected to the USA Softball Hall of Fame. And I told Don Newstead that I wouldn't mention who it was that sent it. Another one saw me at a tournament in Holland and said he was going to have to come to the dinner tonight because he wasn't going to believe I got in until he saw it. The USA Softball of Michigan umpire program is one of the best in the country. most of us think it's the best. And we have something called the You Gotta Be Shitting Me Award. I was graced with that award one year. I was working a JO tournament in Mount Pleasant, and girl got a base hit to right field, and I came in and button hooked in, and I coughed, and when I did, my upper denture came out. So I picked it up, stuck it in my pocket, and went, please don't come talk to me about anything. After the inning was over, I rinsed it off, put it back in my mouth, finished the game. Jeff York came up to me because he had been watching and said, did you drop your indicator? I said, no, it was my denture. And I went, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I would be remiss to talk about friends. If I didn't talk about the best friend I have. He was my high school partner for 15 years. He introduced me several times as his softball wife. This is a picture of us, Centerville High School. You notice he has a big smile on his face and I don't. And he said, why is that? And I said, because you get to umpire with me, I have to umpire with you. He came up here from Alabama for this ceremony. And I'm eternally grateful. When we would travel together, we would room together. We showed up at the Embassy Suites in Novi, which is a pretty fancy place. And he said, Almack and Baker, we're here together. Well, we're not together. And I went, you bitch, you say that all the time. And the lady behind the counter went, this is the kind of stuff that USA softball umpires love. We love to get together, we love to talk, we love to lie each other about each other. The biggest thank you I have goes to Bill Humphreys. Bill has done more for this program than anybody will ever admit, and Bill is the reason I'm here. He pushed this happening to me, and I am eternally grateful. Thank you, everybody.
Whew. Not sure how I'm going to follow that up. Thanks, Mike. Oh, I'm blushing a little bit over there for everything that you said. So, our next inductee. He is an umpire, he is a mentor, and now he's a Hall of Famer. It is a true privilege tonight to recognize a man who has dedicated his life to the game of softball. Not from the batter's box to the dugout, but from behind the plate, where the real heartbeat of the game lives. Tonight, we proudly induct Dennis Doc Hall into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame. Over his exceptional career, Doc has demonstrated everything that we hope for in a softball official: integrity, consistency, professionalism, and passion for the game. His list of accomplishments is as impressive as it is well earned. 32 men's modified state championship games or appearances, 7 national qualifiers, 3 national tournaments, grand total of over 73 state or higher umpire assignments, USA Softball National Indicator, and gold medal umpire. These honors are not handed out lightly. They are reserved for the very best, for umpires who consistently perform at the highest level and uphold the values of USA Softball in every aspect of the game. But beyond the accolades, what truly sets Doc apart is how he approached the game and how he treated the people in it. Doc was known as a player's umpire, a man who called the game fair, firm, and with a sense of fun that kept the spirit of softball alive in every inning. His mechanics were sharp, his strike zone consistent, and his demeanor calm, even in the tensest moments. And we all know calling the modified pitch is one of the most difficult confusing, and controversial aspects of the game. Players and coaches alike respected him not just for what he called, but for how he carried himself. They knew Doc had one goal every time he stepped onto the field, and that's to give the game and its players the respect they deserved. Off the field, Doc was just as influential. He was a mentor to younger umpires, a sounding board for league officials, and a true ambassador for the sport. His nomination to this hall by Dave Schimpf, Rick Havercroft, Jeff York, and Ross Martin speaks volumes about the respect that he's earned from those who know the game best. Doc, you gave decades of service to softball in Michigan and beyond. You showed up, you stood tall behind the plate, and you set the standard, not just for officiating, but for character. Tonight, it's our turn to honor you. On behalf of USA Softball of Michigan, it is with immense pride and gratitude that we welcome Dennis Doc Hall into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Wow.
Hey, look, you're on that.
Shut up. I'm kind of happy I'm not following Debbie, but I'm not happy I'm following Mike. Oh my God. So I'm going to cheat here too. There we go. With the Alzheimer's, you got to have a cheat sheet here. First person I'd like to thank very much is my wife. She's put up No, don't. I knew I was going to do that too. She's put up enough with my being gone. I'd like to thank Father Dave Schimpf for suggesting my name for consideration. I'd like to thank the USA Softball for this honor. I'd like to congratulate past members and the current family of our inductees. And they mentioned the stuff that we do for softball, but that's not true. It's what softball's done for us, what softball's done for me. It has given me training, tools to go beyond ASA. My introduction to softball was my dad. Back in the 50s, we lived in Birmingham, Michigan. And he played fast pitch softball. Back then, that was the Detroit Lions spring training, summer training. They played softball. He played against Night Train Lane and a lot of other great, until he slid into second, screwed up his knee like a bunch of softball players do. His career was done. I did two sports in my life. I did basketball, I did softball. Basketball was, I have to be honest, was my true love. Loved the competition. But softball is where you meet the family and you get the memories. And the wonderful holiday travel experience. Early spring, it's Florida for the college spring training. And then you work in, luckily I worked in the MAC, and you traveled everywhere from Naperville, Illinois, to Buffalo, New York, to Athens, Ohio. Quick story about Buffalo, New York. Went there for a Tuesday game from Saginaw. 6 hours there, get there the night before, get up the next day, too much snow on the field, we ain't playing. Get in your car, you drive home. Thursday night, I'm going back to Buffalo for a 3-day schedule, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We get up Friday, oh, too much snow on the field, we're gonna play a doubleheader tomorrow. Saturday we get up, nope, too wet, we're not playing. Sunday, a new team comes in, they're going to play a doubleheader. They tried to take the tarp off the field. The wind caught it, picked up some of the players. The coach says, I am not risking my players' health to play a game. So I spent almost a week in Buffalo, New York, never stepped foot on the field. Memorial Weekend. Now you're either at Hoyt Park in Saginaw, Betts Park in Bay City, Curry Park in Midland. And then Father's Day, it was Canton, Michigan for CompuWare. Everybody knows about that. 4th of July, we're in Aurora, Colorado for the fireworks, girls fast pitch. Another story about that. I'm working a game, and this girl is just snapping the catcher's glove. It's coming in hard. And I look behind me, and the guy's there with a gun. I go, how fast is she throwing? Oh, 65, 70. So if you figure girls fast pitch from that close after her leap, she's throwing about a 90 mile an hour fastball. Labor Day, another good holiday. It's either a state or national tournament. Novi, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, Port Huron, Michigan, Petoskey, Michigan, Oklahoma City, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. That was Jeff York will have stories about Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So that's the travel that I got. The memories I've got, I'd like to mention a few people, and please forgive me if I forget you. The first one I'd like to mention is Rick Haverkoff. In my mind, one of the best there is. Father Dave Shemp, Ted Germain, Jeff York, and my girlfriend, Amy York. Colonel Flagg, Mike Clark, Dave Selden, Brian Smith, Ross Martin, Gary Evans, my good buddy, Ken Kosowski, Louis Shawinski, there's a guy for you, the Dubber, Whitey, the Port Huron twins, Ron and Kevin, Tom and Guy Marcoux, and as Mike mentioned, Linda Hoover, who we called Smurfette, and somebody Mike reminded me of today again was Mr. Wide Right, Mike Gillette, who I guess I threw him out. Is that right, Mike, that you told me? I'm trying to keep this short, because 5 minutes is not that long. But as an umpire, if you go over, what is it? It's a 6. You owe your partners a 6-pack. And then you got the memories that stick with you. And these are just some of the sayings that we had. One of them was, Doc brought the kit. Back in the day, I was into Manhattans. And so I had this cooler that I would carry. And after the game, get out the kit. We'd sit on the porch at Hoyt Park and mix up a batch, and there we go. Port Huron, doing a state tournament there. And I think what we did is kind of take over one of the residents that probably lived at the park with our game. But luckily he was into the game, because every time we got a strikeout, he'd yell at the batter, go to your room. The man pan. I don't know if you ever experienced that. That's Dave Selden. Dave Selden would show up at CompuWare with a man pan, which was probably a 3.5, 4 foot wide cast iron pan, and he'd cook fajitas or whatever. Northwood University, we were doing a tournament there. Dave took the last 2 games off on Saturday, and when we come off the field, We had salads with fresh strawberries in them. We had strip steaks, and we had, I think, baked potatoes. That was Dave Selden in the Man Pan. And something else I've been reminded of tonight, drink up Buttercup. I'm embarrassed about that one. That was a Battle Creek story. That's all you're going to hear about that. Practice tee shots at Hoyt Park into the cemetery that was across the field and the outfield. And then again at CompuWare in Canton, Michigan. Louis Shawinski. We had a weather issue, and Louis said, the storm is coming in fast, but it's moving slow. It's like a yogiism. Here's another favorite. Who are you? Rick Havercroft and I are down in Montgomery, Alabama, doing a girls 12 and under national tournament. We've been there 10 days. 10 days. We're down to the quarterfinal. I'm suited up to do a plate game for the quarterfinal. Really happy I made it that far. Rick was done. We're in the changing room. UIC comes in. Need somebody work a game. Rick goes, I'll work. Who are you? Rick just says, that's okay. Never mind. One of the, he could have said, I just worked the Big Ten, that's all. That's who I am. So I bought him a t-shirt that said, who are you? And then my all-time favorite, you're a mess. Now there's a story behind that too. We're in Midland doing a national modified team from New Jersey, I believe. They just couldn't find a pitcher. They just couldn't help themselves from that. And so we're doing illegal pitch, illegal pitch, illegal pitch, walking in runs, yada-da. They pull him out, put in a regular pitcher who pitched legal. We're leaving the field, and they're yelling at us. Da, 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 da. Your wife hates you. Your kids hate you. Your dog hates you. You're a mess. Oh, we love it when they get original. You're a mess is stuck with us for quite a long time. And there's a follow-up to that story. What they didn't know, and they lost that game, so they had to go back to back. What they don't know is the three of us go off the field, switch around. Now I'm the plate umpire. We come back on, they're out in right field huddled up, and I can see them, da-da-da-da-da, and the guy peeks his head up to see who's coming to work the game, and I see him duck back down. They come in for the pregame lineups, and I'm looking, and their pitcher spot was all scratched out. So I played that up as much as I could. I'm confused here. You're not pitching this guy? You're pitching this guy, because I want to make sure I get this right. You're not pitching him, right? No, we're not pitching him. We're pitching this guy, huh? Yeah. Okay, thank you, coach. You're a mess. Thank you very much.
I tell you, these umpires, they're a fun bunch, aren't they? I tell you, nicknames, the stories, and Linda Hoover, I would never call you anything but Linda or Captain, my captain. I'll just tell you that right now. I wouldn't mess with you to save my life. Well, here we are, our final induction for this evening. And to be honest, this is a tough one. To sit down and try to write up an introduction for somebody who's been the heart and soul of something for so long It's difficult, it's emotional, it's a challenge. How do you describe the incredible impact somebody has had on this organization in just a few words? How can you say thank you to someone for helping to shape an organization in so many ways over 37 plus years? We're going to try as best we can and get her to understand that she is more than deserving to be in the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame, because quite frankly, she doesn't think she does. And you are wrong. If you were to talk to Debbie Sherwood, I still don't believe she completely understands why she was even considered, let alone selected. We could go into a lot of details about what she's done, how she's done it, the impact that was made, but I think it's best to keep it straightforward and simply do our best to remind her of what she's done. You have persevered. You persevered dealing with 3 particular individuals who held the commissioner role that are all different and have their own pros and cons. Bill Humphrey, Jerry Hansen, and me. You have persevered working with 3 people whose styles might be a little different, whose ideas might be a little different, and still found ways to figure out how to get the job done regardless of who was in charge. That's not easy, and yet you found a way to do it. You have adapted. You have adapted when it was necessary to do so, whether it was technology, processes, or even attending specific meetings or events. You adapted. This may sound somewhat simple, but I really don't think it is. A lot of people really don't have that ability to adapt to the ebbs and flows, in particular of this game, and the processes that need to be followed at the national, state, and even local levels. It needs a steady hand, and that steady hand was Debbie Sherwood. To be able to adapt and help us get where we needed to be is a skill set that has helped make USA Softball in Michigan what it is. Finally, what has always been a staple of USA Softball of Michigan, whether it's our teams, our leagues, directors, commissioners, umpires, and more, we have always wanted to create a sense of family within this association. But to do that, someone has to keep it all together. Debbie Sherwood is the one who did just that. She tied it together. She kept it together and helped so many. Many of our customers and colleagues have called her on softball-related questions, but then find themselves talking to Debbie about so many other things. To have that person at the heart of this USA Softball of Michigan family has been a benefit to us all. So, tonight, we celebrate Debbie's career with the USA Softball of Michigan by inducting her into the Hall of Fame under the category of meritorious service. I'm not sure if meritorious service completely describes all that she's done, but it will have to do. And you're going to take this honor whether you want to or not. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the USA Softball of Michigan's Hall of Fame, the heart and soul of this association for over 37 years, Ms. Debbie Sherwood.
Hi, thank you. And he's the one that's kicking me out. No. Good evening, everyone. Those of you that know me know that I am strict about the rules, but I'm going to be breaking 2 of them tonight. One rule that I've heard many times is there's no crying in softball. I'm going to break that one by the time I read the next few paragraphs. The second is 5 minutes. I've always stressed that. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm going over. What are they going to do? Are they going to fire me? So please forgive me, though, for going over. But wow, to say I was in shock when I found out I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, put it mildly. I think I told you guys 3 times, no, no, no. After all, I can't catch. I can't throw a ball. I can't bat. And I've never read a rule book in my life. And I'm not going to start now. And looking back at my career, though, I realize I have been part of a team. And here's my lineup. First and foremost, I need to thank God. He's my leadoff hitter. Without God in my life, I wouldn't be here today. He's given me the virtues of strength, courage, and faith, especially during those difficult days, weeks, and years. With him leading me, I know that all things are possible. Number 2 in the lineup is my friend and accountant, Tom Lanning. He told me that he had a friend that was looking to open an office in downtown Midland. And it had something to do with softball, but he didn't really know what. He said Bill Humphrey was looking for someone to work in the office with him. Bill, I know you're used to being the number 1 umpire, but on my team, you're the number 3 hitter. If you ask Bill, he'll tell you the only reason he hired me was I kept going into the office and bugging the heck out of him. He would have used a different word, but my grandson is sitting over there, so I can't say it. And he got tired of me stopping in each week, so he finally hired me. And my first day was on February 21st, 1988. I have so many memories to share that involve Bill that it could last all night. Bill holds a special place in my heart, and thank you is not enough. Many think he is rough and gruff, but Eric, my husband Don, and I know better. Thank you, Bill, for hiring me all those years ago. My number 4 batters are my number 4 on my team are the cleanup hitters. They're my parents. They've loved watching softball, whether it was watching my 2 brothers play modified or slow pitch, and the McCardle team, and of course all the national and world tournaments that were held at Curry Stadium. Thanks to my parents for watching and helping me to raise my son. They provided a home for us and ran all over the state with us for softball meetings and tournaments. Batting 5th in my lineup is my son Eric, sitting over here, who turned 4 shortly after I started working at MASA. How is it he's old enough to have a 6-year-old? He always enjoyed the weekends that we held the annual meeting and Hall of Fame together, and the fall meetings. He got to stay in a hotel for 2 nights. He got to swim and play games, and then there were several board members that would hire him to do little tasks so that he could earn some money that weekend. Eric, my parents, Don, my sister Becky, standing back there, my niece Gina, who's on the phone, and my niece Annalisa often volunteered to help collate hundreds of sheets of paper for our manuals that we used to produce each year. They stuffed envelopes and umpire packets. Thank you all for your help in the evenings and on the weekends. And Don, my husband, is sitting over there. You've got a critical spot in my lineup. You're the number 6 hitter. You've been with me on the softball journey for 33 years. So I'd say that you hit it out of the ballpark and you got a grand slam when you married me. Seriously though, thank you for your support, especially when I took on the position of assistant director. And now that I've decided to retire from softball, I couldn't do this without you or your wallet. Next up is the designated hitter, Jerry Hansen. When Bill left, you stepped up to the plate and that ball went flying. You did what was best for the team and always put MASA, USA softball first. Jerry, Thanks for always encouraging me to step out of my comfort zone and for convincing me to go to Delta and finally get my associate's degree. The information learned there enabled me to do more for MASA USA Softball of Michigan. Thanks for always encouraging me and believing in me. Jesse, guess what? You're my pinch hitter. Jerry's retirement, when Jerry retired, you stepped up and helped me in the office. Not only were you there as my maintenance man, but the one I called on and relied on more than anyone in the past 5 years. You always had my back and you looked after me. When I needed help with softballs, you took over ordering and kept them in stock. You always came to the office when I was struggling with a project or when the financial information in QuickBooks needed a little bit more work. You didn't hesitate to listen, to talk, or stop in on those days when things were getting to me. You never told me, that's not my problem. We've become friends, and that means so much to me. Thank you is not enough. And finishing my lineup is Darren. Thank you for believing in me when you became the executive director and commissioner. When you promoted me to assistant director, it meant so much to me knowing that you believed that I would be able to run the office by myself, and you helped me to grow and pushed me to learn more. Your heart's in the right place, and you have a positive attitude and are always trying to do what you think is best for USA Softball of Michigan. To the Board of Commissioners and umpire staff, past and present, thank you for your hard work and commitment you've given to MASA USA Softball of Michigan. And to you, my fellow inductees, congratulations on your induction into the USA Softball of Michigan Hall of Fame. If you don't already know this, USA Softball of Michigan is the best team around. Although I've retired from softball, I'm now part of a new team, and I'd like to share a portion of my new boss's homily from August 24th. It's about humility, and I think this is a perfect way for me to end. The following is quoted from my priest, Father Dan. One of my favorite examples of humility is from the novelist Alex Haley, who wrote the novel Roots, and who was responsible for the highly successful TV series in the 70s. He had a picture in his office of a turtle sitting on a fence post. He said when he looks at it, he remembers a lesson taught to him by a friend who said, if you see a turtle sitting on a fence post, you know he didn't get there by himself. He had some help getting there. Haley said, anytime I start thinking, isn't it wonderful the things that I've done, I look at the picture of this turtle and I see myself and I remember I didn't get where I am without the help of a lot of others. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's get your picture.
Oh,
Yeah, you know Ross.
how do you want me to hold this? I'm not used to doing this.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for so much, but just job well done. Appreciate all you do. So, that's what we have for 2025. But before we conclude, there are a couple more thank yous that I would like to take advantage of here right now. Debbie already stole one of them, but I'm going to do it again. Jesse Stewart, Dan Smith, would you two please stand? These two individuals certainly, as Debbie has said, have stepped up in a big way and are helping to fill some of the void that's going to be left over with some of the book work and office work that needs to be done, and they do so without hesitation. Jesse's been there for already several years, again, just selfless. And Dan just jumped right in because he simply wants to help. Jesse, Dan, thank you very much for your efforts so far. I want to point out Jim Connors. I'm sorry, I can't help but stare with that mask on. Jim Connors is our vice president, and he too has stepped up with especially with QuickBooks, direction, and just insight that we've needed. And this is a guy who was just in, was it Venezuela or Argentina? Argentina for a couple weeks for a WBSC event. And he was still checking in on us to make sure that things were going well. To Jim Connors, thank you. And probably one of the coolest things about this event that you don't know is, as we said before, Debbie really is the one who puts all this together. But it was Jeff York and Ross Martin. Jeff in particular, I think it was in Saginaw, if I remember correctly, went to Debbie and said, what can we do to take the load off so that this night can be special for you? And both Jeff and Ross stepped up in a big way, and I want to recognize them as well. Jeff and Ross, would you please stand and be recognized? And when we're done, can you pick all this stuff up and get it back? It is. I see. That's what she said. It is part of the job. So the last thing I wanted to do while I have an opportunity is to ask for your help, your input, your advice, your concerns, your ideas. If I've learned anything in my career as a Parks and Recreation Director, I've been doing it for 34 years. And the collective effort that takes place with some of the programs and some of the things that we're involved with is truly something that keeps me going every day. This is a family. How many times have you not heard that today, right? This is a family. Sometimes the way we do things works, sometimes it doesn't. Ideas are always welcomed. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you have in mind. We would love for you to help us support us, whether it's financial or otherwise. We want to make this as collective as possible. So don't be afraid to come to our president, to come to our vice president, our executive committee. Come to me. I'm going to ask that Mike Almack and Mike Baker come separately and not together if you have some ideas. But please feel free to do that. There are so many ideas that you probably don't realize that came from people like you that we incorporated into this great game. So please help us to make as much of a collective effort as possible. One last reminder to our inductees for 2025, we would really like you to come up on stage once we conclude to get a picture taken with just you. And then shortly thereafter, we want everybody that is a member of this Hall of Fame near this stage so we can get one big picture of everybody like we do each and every year. Finally, in your programs, we always conclude with this. From Dick Barker of Lansing, class of 1989, a toast to the Hall of Famers. What's the Michigan Amateur Softball Hall of Fame? 'Tis an honor bestowed upon the best in the game. Be they umpires or managers or sponsors or such, or players who have possessed a sort of magic touch. They are the men and women who've contributed to a true love for the game, which is held by me and you. No matter where you travel across this Great Lakes state, you're bound to come across a Hall of Fame softball great. They come from many cities where you find a park where the great game of softball's played, days or after dark. For the size of the village doesn't matter at all, because all across Michigan, you'll find they play good ball. As to the players who have been deemed the very best, each will assure you they'd not be there without the rest of their teammates, who all help them to reach this plateau. It takes a true team effort to overcome the foe. Though each of them has shown us that they're a cut above through pitching or hitting or wielding a golden glove. To be named as a softball great really is quite rare, but don't forget, at least 8 others helped place them there. Thus we are all gathered here to raise our glasses high, saluting the best of the best, be they gal or guy. To our softball comrades on earth or high above, God bless our softball family and the game we all love. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight's festivities. We really appreciate all the family and friends that were here. Again, inductees will get a picture up here shortly. We want to get everybody shortly after that. Thank you so much. We'll be back here again.